Hello, this is Rain. I think Amaris is still working on joining. I think she's working on her mic. But Ruth, I see that you are here. You're currently muted. Are you able to unmute yourself and confirm that we can hear you? Let me go ahead and try unmuting you. All right, Ruth, are you able to speak now?
Mute. Now it's unmuted.
There you are.
Thank you.
Hi. So Amaris is having a little bit of difficulty with her microphone, so I went ahead and started the broadcast. At this moment, you are our attendee, which means that unless somebody else decides to join this office hours, you do get to have a personalized office hour experience.
Oh my goodness.
Let me start by just ensuring you, or not ensuring you, but reminding you that we are recording this. So everything that we do will be accessible later on by anyone who wants to review the information gained here. And we also often reference these webinars in our documentation and in responses to help requests. So just keep that in mind that we are recording you. The other thing that I want to just give you a heads up on is you're seeing my screen right now. You're actually seeing me logged in as you, I believe.
Yes.
So this is something that Amaris and I are able to do. Elizabeth and one person from National are also able to do this. No one else can pretend to be you, and I'm not doing it through any kind of password or anything. I have a tool that's specific to the four of us called Masquerade. So you'll see this little block as we're going through the site, and that's just something that's specific to us and no one else can do. So I just want to help calm any concern you might have had when you realized, wait a minute, she's in my account.
I understand that. That's not a problem.
Great. Great. All right. Well, I don't know if we've met before. I'm Rain, and I do a lot of the technical work behind this site. Amaris, who will hopefully be able to join with her microphone, is
Hi, Rain. Yes, I am.
Oh, there you are. Wonderful, wonderful. You've probably interacted with her a fair amount, but she is really the voice and the kind of initial face of MyLO. So she's someone that you interact with a lot, which you're very lucky for because she's an incredibly nice person. So, Maurice, did you want to say anything else?
To be honest, Rain, I'm brand new at this. I mean, we had LED for a long time, but I haven't really done much on the new MyLO site. So
okay, great.
I haven't interacted. And I do have sitting with me our league president, Andrea. So I just want to someone else here.
Hi, ladies.
Great. Welcome, hi, nice to meet you. Amaris, did you want to say anything else before we go ahead and get started?
Just a note about certain types of questions. We really are looking for your technical questions or anything as far as trying to show you the steps, any billing questions or housekeeping type of things can be kept for after the webinar. You can give us a call to the office or email us. I will go ahead and include our email address in the chat window for that purpose.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and start with the questions that you have. Since you are brand new, I can start you off with a guide through the resources that we have for brand new users, or we can go ahead and dive directly into your questions depending on how far you've gotten and what exploration you've done.
Well, I've looked at the document for beginners. Why has everything got a line drawn through it on that document, by the way? When I go to it, it looks like it's all been crossed out. It's not, but it all has lines through it.
It seems like you're referring to the quick start guide for the League Webmaster. I think that somebody may have accidentally made that suggestion. I don't think that they meant to
I
strike
think
out the entire document, but thank you for bringing that up. I think that, Rain, that's something that you have access to, those
The quick
suggestions.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that a little bit later. That quick start guide that
Mhm.
you're referring to
Yeah.
is more of a that's probably something that's a little bit earlier than the stage that you're at right now because you do have this site right here
Right.
already set up. So instead of taking you there, which that is a dynamic document that people who have access to can make suggested edits on. So sometimes you might see something look a little bit funky because somebody has made a suggestion. But I'm going to move you over to the official documentation within the MyLO experience
Okay.
that you'll want to follow as a new user for your league. And we do have a webinar that focused very much on this that we did a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to give you the kind of cursory view of it that I think will be helpful to you. And then Amrice will make sure that you have the link to that previous webinar so that you can look at that as well. And when you have time and use that to kind of augment your information also.
Excellent.
So let me go ahead and guide you there. When you're on your site, if you scroll down to the very bottom of any page, you have this red footer down here at the bottom. And one of the links there says My League Online.
Oh.
If you go ahead and click on My League Online,
Mm-hmm.
that will take you to kind of if you're coming from Lou, you'll recognize this as sort of the generic LWVnet
Yes.
equivalent. It
Mm-hmm.
does show you all of the leagues that are currently live. Not all of the states are actually genuinely live because we do have to have a state associated with every local league. So some of those are really just landing pages and some are great state sites.
Can I
But all
interrupt,
of the, yeah,
Rain?
go
Our
ahead.
state is not, it doesn't have, it's on here, but they don't have a MyLO account. So is that going to be a problem?
No, that's not a problem. What we do is we create a state that then will redirect people over to the official state site so that
Okay.
you have a state to be associated with.
Okay.
So with the exception of the states listed here, every single one of these is a live MyLO site.
Okay.
Some of the states are also live MyLO sites.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're logged in, you'll also be able to get to your site and you can ignore this orange coast. This is a display bug that we're aware of, but it doesn't actually really impact you other than just being strange.
Okay.
So just ignore it. We'll fix it eventually, but we're focused on bigger picture stuff right now. And you can get to your site from here. Now, because your site isn't live right now,
Mm-hmm.
only people who are administrators of your league are able to see your site. And when your site goes live, then you'll be able to have other people see your site as well. So
Right.
we can talk more about that if you have questions. But this is how you'll get to your league, back to your league, once you've made it over to the general MyLO pages.
Mm-hmm.
What you also have here on the general MyLO pages is this menu at the top left.
Right.
And issues of focus is fun. I definitely recommend that you look through that at some point because you might get some inspiration from there.
Okay.
But its issues of focus are the issues from national, and it aggregates all content from all the leagues on MyLO related to specific content. Let me go ahead and show you that because you might be interested in making use of that. So here we have all of the national issues as well as some California issues because
Mm-hmm.
California is also using this. And if I click on any one of these, then it shows me a little bit of information from national as well as a link to the national issue. And then it also shows me any content on the site that has, any content from any league, you can actually see what leagues these are from that's been posted relating to that issue. So
And
it's a
how would I
great
get that
way.
onto my site?
Well, I'll show you that. I'll make
Okay.
sure to show you how you connect issues to your site. But this is a great place for you to come that's kind of aggregated and that gives you inspiration. And then the other really great place for you to come and where you'll want to spend the most time right now is in this documentation link right here.
Right. Yeah,
And
that's
let
what
me give you, yeah, let me give you a little bit of the anatomy of this documentation link because there's a lot of useful pieces here. First of all, there is a glossary, and I'm still in this menu right here. This system uses something called Drupal. This is very technical. It's not that important to you and what we're using on the back end unless you're curious. However, sometimes you'll hear terminology or language and you'll just be thinking, I don't know what that is, and I really want to, and I don't want to ask because I just don't want to bother asking. This is where you can come to see if you can get an answer to what on earth were we talking about?
Okay.
What does that mean? And then this last link here, YouTube channel, there's a lot of videos that have been created, and we will be creating more, just showing you how to use certain aspects of the site in video form. We tried to keep these videos nice and short so that they wouldn't be too daunting to look at. There is one set of videos, I think, somewhere in here that's really long, and that's the webinar ones because the web form ones because web forms are fairly complex. But aside from that, we kept them pretty short. This is the one that you're going to want to start with, though, Essentials for Beginners.
Right.
This page right here takes you through, this is our longest piece of documentation. All of the other documentation that we have on the site, we tried to keep in very short little snippets that it'd be quick and easy for you to get a specific answer to a very targeted topic. But this page is very long because it takes you through every step of, okay, you now have a brand new MyLO site. What does all this mean? Where does it display? How do I edit it? And this is all the basics. And then towards the bottom, it'll take you down to more advanced topics as well, to these further steps. What we also have under the documentation landing page itself is this list. We consolidated the kind of most common questions people have. And then down here, you can search for specific topics. So if you know, for example, that you're trying to do something with Facebook, you can type in the keyword Facebook, and then it'll give you just those topics that have the word Facebook in them.
Excellent.
So hopefully all of this will be very helpful to you and kind of get you started. Yeah.
I have started looking at it. I ran into a problem when I got into the section on joining. We don't currently have PayPal, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of the PayPal code that was already in there.
Okay, great. That's a good question. All right, let's go ahead and look at that then. So that PayPal code, is it still on your join page that you have linked right here?
I think so. I don't remember if I left it in that.
Let's go ahead and take a look, and it absolutely is.
Well, actually, the whole thing is I didn't edit it because I started to edit and it couldn't figure out how to get rid of it, and so I just discarded the edit.
Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and get rid of it, and we'll do so in a way where I explain everything to you. We also do have another attendee on the call, and so at some point we'll stop and give you a moment to introduce yourself and indicate your questions. Let's go ahead and take a look at editing this join page, and I'll use this as an opportunity to also talk about moderation of your content. Okay. All right, so when we come to a piece of content, you'll see if it's one of your pieces of content in your league, you'll see at the top a few different tabs here. The first tab that you see is View Published. This is what we're looking at right now. This is what the public would see.
If we were live, right?
Correct. The next tab is New Draft. And New Draft in this context is the equivalent of Edit. And we'll look at that in a moment. Moderate will show you the entire history of a particular piece of content. Let's go ahead and click on that right now so that you can see the changes. So this piece of content was, whoops, I just clicked on Amarice's name. This piece of content was created by Amarice when she created your league. And that's just the way that it happens. It is your published version. You could unpublish it here if you wanted to. So if you didn't want the public to be able to access it once your league is live, then you would just unpublish it here. And so Moderate will tell you the entire history of this piece of content.
Right.
Web form and results we'll talk about later.
Okay.
All right. So going back to view published, we're now looking at what the public would see. If I want to edit it, I'll click on new draft.
Right.
And then now I have a form, and the anatomy of all of your forms, so all of your edit pages or add new content pages, are pretty much the same across the board. The different types of content will have different fields. So for example, the position content will also ask for the history of that position so that you can indicate revision history to the public if they might be interested in that. Your event content will also have a field for the event date and time and the location. So every page basically works the same way. The main image field will take you into the image library or the media library that we have on the system. We can go over that at some point on this webinar as well. The summary field, which is connected to the body, that summary field is what will display in a list of content if you have this piece of content displaying in any kind of lists, and we'll talk about that too. And then the body is where the majority of your editing is going to happen. Well, and then there's a bunch of other fields that we'll also talk about later. But we'll start with just editing this piece of content. So if I want to remove all of this kind of PayPal, all of these PayPal references, I can go ahead and go right into my body field and highlight that content, and then I can go ahead and delete whatever is no longer relevant.
Got it.
Then I can go ahead and add more information if I want to. I can add images, I can add a link to something else. But for now, for the purposes of this webinar, I'll simply delete that content.
Right.
Now here's where it gets fun. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. I'm going to put in a moderation note because it's always a good idea to add a little note about what you changed for the sake of knowing the history of the content. Removed PayPal references on webinar, rain masquerading as Ruth.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now this is where it gets fun. Okay. So right now, I'm actually viewing the draft of this page. Those changes took effect. Down here, I have this little note that says revision state draft. And up here, I now have view published, view draft, edit draft, and then the moderate tab as well. If I click on join or view published, it will show me what the public is seeing, not the draft that I'm currently working on.
Right, because you haven't published it yet.
Exactly, exactly. So if I want to publish it, there are actually 3 ways I can do that. There's always a million ways to do everything, right? So let's just make it super confusing by telling you that there's 3 ways. The first way I can publish it is I can go back to view draft, and then down here at the bottom, it says set moderation state published. That's the only option. I can click apply. Doing that would immediately publish this piece of content.
But Rain, since my site is not public, it's really not public yet. It's just
correct. So yes, that's correct. That would be your entire site is private right now.
Right. That's what I was afraid to click on it.
Okay. Right. But you still want to set your content to published.
Got it.
Because otherwise you're going to have to go in and publish everything just before you set your site live. So you might as well just set it to published now, and then when your site goes live, then everything will be published. Okay, so that's one way I can do this. The next way I could do it is I could go back to the draft form. I could make some other changes, and you can do this the first time you're making the changes as well. So I can make some more changes to this piece of content. And then under moderation state right here, I can change draft to published and go straight to published with my changes. Now, the third way that I can do this is in the moderate tab itself. So the moderate tab shows me the history of this piece of content. It shows me the published version right here. There's the initial created version, and then it shows me in red. So green will be your published version. That one will always appear at the top.
Okay.
And then in red, it'll show me the revision that I'm working on. And it'll give me the option to publish that right here.
Okay, so I can compare the two. Okay.
Right, right. So I'm going to go ahead and click apply, since we know that you don't want that PayPal information. And you could always go back and revert if you needed to. There's these revert options here if you want a previous version. And if we click on join, now you're seeing the version that doesn't have the PayPal information in it. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's take, there's more that I really would like to have time to show you on the page itself, the content type itself with all the various fields. But before I do that, I'd like to go over to our other attendee who's currently muted. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but the spelling is beautiful. Are you able to unmute yourself, or Amaris, are we able to unmute her?
Yeah, let me go ahead and try. It does show that she is self-muted.
Okay.
Jaya, are you able to hear us? She might be having some difficulty with her mic if she's still staying muted.
Okay. Well, when you get the chance to speak, if you're able to unmute yourself, go ahead and chime in, and we'll give you the opportunity to stop and ask some questions.
Yeah, and if you're still having any issues with your mic, you can also plug your questions into the questions pane, and we'll do our best to keep track of those and throw those into the mix.
Thank you. Okay, Ruth, let's go ahead and go back to you. Would you like me to start talking about the other fields on the form and what they do, or is there something else that you want to?
No, please do. Go ahead.
Okay, great. All right, so let's go ahead and just play with the same field right here, the same page. And we'll go ahead back to new draft. And as we scroll down here, so main image will take you into the media library. If I click on this, it will give me options here. It'll give me a number of options. The first one is to upload a new file. This would be from my computer. So I can go ahead and choose a file and navigate through my file system until I find, in this case, it has to be an image, but there are other fields that will allow you to put in PDFs or other file types. So I can go ahead and find something that way. The other options that I have here, I can pull a URL. If I have a URL to an image, the absolute URL, then I can pull that from somewhere else. So if, for example, you want to import the images from your existing site, this is the kind of easiest way to do that.
Okay.
And that's actually why we put this here, because this particular option is a bit of a copyright risk, because you might be pulling somebody else's media. So it's just important to keep in mind that you have to have the ownership of that piece of media before you pull it in.
Understood.
Yeah. And then these next three tabs are ways to get into existing media that's already on the system, that's already in MyLO. So let's start with this last tab. We'll actually go backwards here, and we'll start with the very last one. This will be all of the media that is available to you from all of the leagues using MyLO. Also, Amaris and Elizabeth from LWVC have been working really hard to get some great historical images in here, as well as some standard social media icons, things like that. So for example, if I know that I need something for Facebook, then I can, under description, I'll type in Facebook, and then under media tags, I'll choose social media. And then this is going to allow me to filter to any items that are specifically related to Facebook and social media. And then I can make use of those rather than having to go find or create or upload my own.
I love it.
Cool.
A lot easier than LEW was.
Well, hopefully, you know, there's a lot of functionality here. So if you run into trouble, there's all kinds of documentation, but there's also Amaris and as well as me and Elizabeth, we do check in as well. So, all right, so the next kind of really important thing here to note is we have all of these classifications for this content. One of the classifications is also issues. So you can find images that are related to specific issues, and that might help you as well. It also defaults to 20 items per page, but if you want to see more than that, you can change your settings. So this is join.
Rain,
Yeah.
just a quick question. Having poor eyesight, is there any way of making them larger so we can see them more clearly without having to click on each one?
Yeah, that's actually been a request that, Maurice, I don't know if we have a ticket for that. We probably should increase the size of these and make that a priority. Would you be able to make a note of that so that we can get it into our queue?
Definitely, that is a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so we'll try to fix that as soon as possible. So let's just see with my eyesight's not that great either. So let's just see with our tiny little images, which one might be good. Let's guess that this one might be a fun one for what we're doing. You'll be able to edit this again later. So I'm just going to click on that one. I don't know if you can see that it's highlighted in blue. That's a lot easier to see on your own screen. And then I'll click apply. Oh, sorry, I won't click apply there. I will click submit down here. Now what that's going to do, it's loading right now a little bit slowly, but it's going to pop that image directly into that field for me. It will take all of the settings from that image. So the alt text, everything that's needed for accessibility is already part of that image.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look at what those accessibility settings are, you can click on edit, and then you can make adjustments to, say, the alt text or other information right there as well.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about the summary field. We can come back to that later if we need to. Let's take a look at this element here, body with embed code. This one is very confusing, but also very handy. This gives you a lot of functionality. So your body is typically the main element of your site or your page, the main content that somebody would look at. But sometimes you might need to embed a YouTube video or a PayPal widget or a Twitter widget or something else, right? A Vote 411 widget right into the middle of your page.
Okay.
And between paragraphs. And if you want to do that, then what you're going to need to do is use this add third-party embed code HTML paragraph. So what you do is right under here, you'll write your content up to the point that you would put that element in. Then you would click on this and it'll create a new little window here. You would delete the default stuff and then write in or paste in your embed code. And I'll just go ahead and leave that as it is so that you can see what this looks like. And then for the rest of your content on the page, you would click add additional formatted text, and it'll give you a new field with all those WYSIWYG controls so that you can type in whatever you want. And let me just go ahead and paste some stuff there so that you can also
embedded code can be an image like the donate button or something.
So the donate button, that doesn't need to be embedded code. You can place.
But I'm just wondering what kind of thing would be the embedded code?
A YouTube video, a Twitter widget, some kind of a payment processing widget.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Anything like that, yeah. So let me do H2 embed code is here. And then you can also, if you do a bunch of these, like for Los Angeles, I have one page that has about 30 videos on it. You can reorder your items using these little grabby handles. Anytime you see one of these grabby handles, it allows you to drag the item up or down.
Wondering what people were referring to.
Yeah. So that's what these little or big buttons are for. Okay. Attach media will take you into the media library, but this is where you would add a PDF or something like that at the bottom of your page if you wanted kind of special attached media. You can also include those items into the body of your content, but adding them as attached media gives them special formatting and places them at the bottom of your page, and it's very clear to the user that these are ancillary items.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then we'll come back and talk about the rest of the fields in a minute, because I want you to see the immediate feedback of the changes that we made. So we added an image to the top of the page.
All right. Mm-hmm.
We edited the text. We threw in some embed code, and then we had an additional paragraph that we added there.
Excellent.
I like this image.
Yeah, it is nice.
All right. So I'm going to go back to the draft to edit it further. I'm going to remove these two items because you don't actually want those.
Right.
Confirm.
You don't have to highlight it to delete it?
No, there's a little remove button that I'm clicking.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'm removing the item that as a whole as opposed to just the text within it. Okay, so we talked about attachments. Now let's go on and talk about these fields: issues, positions, and committees, because this is where the real power of MyLO comes in.
Right.
These are the fields that you have that allow you to relate a piece of content to other content in MyLO or on your site. And that will bring up some specific links on your page without you having to do any work. So if this page were specifically related, say, to expanding voter access, what you would want to do is under issues, you would want to go ahead and select whichever issues. Notice as I'm clicking in this field, it's giving me this drop-down list. And if I start typing, it'll actually give me some options here that are specific to whatever I'm typing. So maybe it's also educating voters.
Okay.
This is how you get your piece of content to show up in those aggregated issue lists that I showed you at the beginning of this webinar. And then by putting these here as well, you'll then have a link over to that issue from your page. Positions, there's a content type on MyLO called positions, and we're really trying to encourage everyone to put their positions in using this rather than using PDFs or a standard page. And to put each one in as an individual position. That way content can be related to it. You can say, oh, this event is related to this position. This action alert is related to this position, and create that cross-linking. Now we do have this set up. You'll see that when you click on positions, there are a billion options here because we have it set up so that you can actually reference any position on MyLO. Because there might be an instance where you're working with another league and you have an action alert or something that you're doing that is related to somebody else's position, not necessarily your own. So just like with issues, if you start typing, it will start narrowing down your options. It'll also tell you what league you're looking at and whether or not that piece of content is public and published, because there might be content that's available to members only.
Right.
So that's a way that you can connect something to a specific position. The same thing is true with, I need to look into what's going on there, but the same thing is true with the committees. There's a piece of content, type of content on your MyLO called committee. So you can add specific committees to your site and have information specific to just that committee. You can also relate your content to the committee so that it shows up as work that the committee is doing and includes a link directly to that committee. The next option here determines whether or not this piece of content is going to be visible to the public or to members only. So once your site goes live, you can restrict content to people who are authenticated as confirmed members of your league, and then only those people will be able to access that content. And this is where you would do that.
Okay.
And then we already talked about the moderation and going straight to published. I'm going to remove these because you don't actually want these on your content, but we can go ahead and look at another league so that you can see how that actually looks. And I'll go ahead and take this straight to published. So again, every piece of content on your site, whether it's an action alert, a position, an event, a committee, they all have these same fields so that you can relate all of the content to other content. Let me go ahead and take you to the Los Angeles League, because I'm sure that we have something in there relating to other content. So let's try to find an action alert. And hopefully I didn't put this one in, so we'll see. Okay, there we go. So this one is referencing a position. So you not only have a link to that position, but you also have a little log line from that position as well.
How many webmasters do you have to keep this updated like this?
Oh, the Los Angeles League?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sort of their webmaster, but MyLO, the executive director, she does a lot as well. We also are getting, and this is something that you can do, we're getting other league members involved for specific stuff so that the burden of editing is spread around.
I'm hoping
so we have 2 people who are learning how to just add events. That's all they're doing, is when events are coming up, they just add the events. And then MyLO and I don't have to worry about those.
Good.
All right. Okay, so that's really a lot of the anatomy of the page itself. It looks like we got audio from Vijaya. Are you here?
Yes, Rain, I'm here.
Wonderful.
Finally. I got to find my unmute button. I have you on my smartphone because I'm trying to look at the website while you're talking. So I can't see exactly what you're doing because it's too small on my smartphone.
Right.
I'm right now trying to put our new bylaws that we adopted in May to replace the old ones in our members only section.
Okay.
And I'm not able to do it.
Okay, let's take a look at your site here. I'm going to masquerade as you.
Okay.
I believe it's just VJ. Try that out. It should be.
Aha,
There we go.
you are.
Ah.
All right. Okay, so let's go to. All right, so bylaws. Where are your bylaws located?
Pretty picture.
In the member portal.
In the members only section. All right, well, that I should have known that without asking you.
It's pretty embedded.
Okay, and it's under here?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Member portal, governance.
local governance?
Local governance, yeah.
Okay, bylaws, there they are. Okay. This looks like it's going to open something else.
I'm trying to, I think I screwed up.
Okay. So yeah, you're linking to something external here for the bylaws? Is
Yes.
that what you're trying to do? Yeah.
It's a PDF.
Okay.
But I don't, I had to use Lumen PDF. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so it's on our Google Drive. So I'm trying to link it to that Google Drive document.
Okay. Well, yeah, Google does a pretty good job with viewing PDFs. So linking directly to the Google file might not be a bad idea.
Okay.
If you're not wanting to put the PDF directly into MyLO, then and actually it'll look better on Google than it will on MyLO because we don't have a PDF reader in MyLO.
Oh,
That's fairly sophisticated functionality that we can't really add right now. So for that reason, linking it to something like Google might be a better choice. But so it sounds like your difficulty is more in terms of how you're going to display this item as opposed to actually adding the link, since you did successfully add the link. Is that correct?
I did add the link, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure it's opening it properly. Did
Yeah,
you?
it is opening it, but it's asking me to log in.
Oh, that's not okay.
Right.
Eh,
So you might need to change the permissions on your file, or
Oh,
put it into Google and then set the permissions on the share link in Google, just to make sure that whoever clicks on it is able to actually see it.
so tell me again, what am I supposed to do? I'm sorry.
I don't really know Lumen, so I can't really tell you how it works with Lumen. But with Google, let
Yeah.
me let me just open on Google Drive something.
It's at the top of our Google Drive. I mean, I don't know. Are able to access our Google Drive over here?
Well,
Are you?
no, but I can show you how to do it with your Google Drive folder. So let's look at do I have a PDF in here? Yeah, okay. I have, well, it's not a PDF, but this will work. So if you want to share something with Google, what you can do is find the particular item that you want to share and then
Mhm.
click on it, and you'll want to say get shareable link.
Mm.
Now, in this case, the shareable link may not be enough, but this is the link that you would then use. You would want to click on sharing settings here. This is probably unbelievably tiny for you on your phone.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can, maybe this is it's a little weird looking
Okay.
when I zoomed in, but it's right here. I don't know if you
Share.
can see that. It says sharing settings. So if I
Share.
click on that,
Mm.
yeah, if I click on that, now I also want to click on, yeah, so now I want to click right here where it says anyone with the link can comment.
Oh.
And then I just want to set it however I want it to be. Is this something that anyone with the link can see? You know, right, it was started out as can comment, but I could change it to can view so that they can't actually comment
Yeah.
or edit it.
Yeah.
And then once I've done that, then I can save it, and I can take this link and use that as my link.
Aha. Okay. Oh, it's pretty. It's got several steps. Okay. Sharing
Yeah,
set.
it does. Because there's so many potential options for how there's so many potential options for how the permissions are set up, and you
Okay.
just want to make sure that what you're doing is allowing the public to view. You don't want them doing anything else with it. You just want them viewing it.
The members. It's a members only thing, but there is
If
no. Uh,
Yeah, if you want it restricted so that the only people who could potentially ever get access to that file are authenticated members, then
oh.
you would want to simply upload that PDF into MyLO rather than using one of these tools. And
Uh,
then make sure that when you upload it into MyLO, let
okay.
me actually show you what you would do.
So I
Um,
would set up Google Drive and make it like a desktop document PDF, and then just link it directly.
yeah, let me show you what you would do here. I'm going to masquerade as um, test user that I have so that I can,
I like that picture.
oh no, now it's going to be mad at me because I'm masquerading as a user that has no permissions. I wanted Rainbow Bright. Okay, so let's see.
We will never do this.
All right, so let me show you what you would do if you want to make it a protected file that only your members would be able to access. So let's go ahead and go into I probably have a members only page. Okay, I have this members only action alert. We'll go ahead and use that because you can put files anywhere.
Mm.
And then I'll say new draft.
Yeah.
And now in the body of my content, I'll find wherever I want that PDF to go.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'll use my media tool. So you can actually place images using, like the main image field. You can use the attachments field, but you can also place images directly into the body, images and other media directly into the body of your content.
Mm-hmm.
So here I would place my cursor first where I want this to show up. And then I would click on this double image icon here. This is, again, probably looking really tiny for you, so let me zoom in. And then I'll click on that. And now it's going to open up my media browser.
Uh-huh.
Now I want to upload my file. So I'm going to find, I must have put it into, that's right, I put it into Dropbox. All right, so I'm going to find my little generic PDF here with a draft on it. And then I'm going to click upload. So this is the file itself. I clicked upload. And now I'll click next. Now this is the important step right here. This particular page you are typically going to ignore, and you're just going to click next. You're going to leave it as public local files served by web server.
Okay.
99% of the time, that's what you're going to do.
Okay.
However, in the case of what you are doing right now, you would actually choose private local files served by Drupal.
Oh.
And this does have some documentation for it in our documentation. This is not very clear. This is something that we will improve the UI for, just because it's not used very often, so it's lower on our priority list, and it's easier to just explain it to the people who need it. But what this does is it says that this particular file cannot be accessed by a link. So if I emailed you a link with this file and you clicked on that link, you would not be given access to the file until you log into MyLO.
I
As
see.
a member who is permitted to access that. So that way you can keep that PDF private and accessible only to your members.
I see. No, that's a bit too much. I mean, I think our bylaws are public anyway.
Right. But if you did need it to be extremely private, if, for example, it was a member directory,
I see.
you would want to make use of this to keep that protected.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I don't think we can put our member directory in here also because it's on some other program that I don't know that we're
Right.
not
Let me go through the rest of this just to complete this process and make sure that everyone, including the newer users, are comfortable with what this form does. So remember earlier I showed you how you could add a main image and then you could go in and change the alt text. Well, all of that metadata about the content is entered right here at the very beginning. So I'll just write lorem ipsum private PDF. And then you would want to put in a description that makes it easier for people to find this particular piece of content.
Right.
So in this case, I'll add a description saying, this is a generic file for demonstration. And then you can connect it to issues. This will help people find it. And then you have to choose at least one media tag. This also will help people find it. If you think that your content needs a media tag that you don't see here, just choose your best guess and then email MyLO and ask milo@lwvc.org and ask for another tag.
Rain, can I ask a question? I'm not clear on what you mean by media tag. What does that do?
This allows people to sort through files and images to find stuff that they're looking for. So if I know that I'm looking for something that's related to social media, if I'm looking for a Facebook image, for example, then I would choose social media. And I'll show you this again in a moment. In this case, I'm just going to choose demo image delete because I'm putting this up just for the sake of demonstration. And I'll save it. And then I'll submit this so that you can see it go to the page here. Here's the link to the PDF.
Yeah.
And then now that I've done that, let me go back and answer your media type question a little more, or media tag question a little bit more thoroughly. So if I click on all files, there's this media tags category here. So I can use this to sort through the content and find only media, for example, related to voter education.
Got it.
I see.
So that makes it a little bit easier for me. So let me go ahead and save this so that you can see that PDF linked. But again, the public, so there's the PDF right there. But it's just a link to the PDF. And if I clicked on it, it would open the PDF for me in my browser.
That's what I wanted to do. That should.
Right. And that's all that it would do. So, so since that's the way, but the way that we put it in right here, we said that it was private. So I wouldn't be able to send you the link and then have you access it until you authenticated as a confirmed member of MyLO.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit too much, I think, for secret.
Right. That's why I said 99% of the time you're going to bypass that screen. You're just going to say next. But there are those cases, maybe you have an event flyer that you're putting up that has somebody's private address on it or something. Those are times when you'll want to make something private.
Yeah. And looks like a really complicated process.
It's not, it won't feel complicated to you after you've done it once or twice, and there is documentation for it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm in my Google Drive, but it's a PDF file. This document, which I opened, but it says open with, and I don't have too many options here. Google Docs.
Do you have an option to right click on it and download it?
Oh. No.
Or if you click on it and open it in your browser, does it give you the option to download it?
Download, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you've downloaded it, then you can go ahead and upload it to your page.
It says you don't have authorization to view this page. I don't know what happened.
Okay, so you might not be logged in as the type of user that, or as the individual who can see that particular piece of content. But this particular workflow that you're trying to work through, it might make sense since this kind of requires going through your computer. It's not something I can demonstrate aside from uploading another PDF, which I could do for you again just to show you. But in terms of getting it off of Google, you'll need to do that on your own.
Okay.
So if you want to work through that with Omri separately, that might be a better way to work through it.
I get a PDF file from Joni, our co-president, and I just put it on my desktop, and I can just link to it directly, right?
Yeah. So what you'll do, just to kind of go through this process again, just to make sure that it's clear, is you'll edit your piece of content using New Draft.
Right.
And then you'll go to where you want that particular PDF to be placed. You could add it as an attachment in your downloads section. That's the option that I would actually recommend, but that puts it at the bottom of your page. So if you want it inside your body content, then you would place, once you have that file, you would place your cursor where you want it to be.
Yeah.
You would click on this image right here, this little double images, one right on top of each other.
What is that?
Then you would,
what is that image? Right, two.
With the mountain, yeah, the one on the very end. It's for the media browser.
Okay.
And then you would, in upload new file, you would choose your file. So you have to find it in your Finder.
Right.
And then click next. Click next. Just bypass the screen if you don't want it to be private.
After you upload, you click next.
And then
Oh.
you'll click, and then you'll give it a name, bylaws
Right.
and wildlife. And then you'll give it a description. And then you can relate it to an issue if you want to. And then in here, you would probably, for media tags, you would probably just say current members.
Current member?
Yeah, that would probably be an appropriate.
Access it. Okay.
Right. And then you'll click save. Now that's going to upload the file. And it'll just show you, okay, here's what's about to be added. Here's what the description is. You can change the description. You'll click submit, and there it is.
I see. Okay, so that media browser is what you use. Just linking it to the document and it didn't do it.
Right. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way for what you're trying to do.
Okay, got it. Okay. Media browser. Got it. Okay.
So just in terms of time check, we do only have a couple more minutes. So I wanted to see what other questions you have today, if there's anything that we can answer quickly, or if there's anything you wanted me to go over again.
Yeah, so I had, we have some members complaining about the calendar, a link on our website. So when you click on calendar, it says check our Google Calendar for upcoming events, and then I don't know why there's edit your league's headers, and there are currently no upcoming events posted when there are, and it says please check back soon, and please check back soon twice. So I don't know how to change all of that.
Okay,
and
so let's
MyLO,
go take a look at your calendar.
yeah.
Oh, I'm still in the demo league. Let's go to Santa Barbara and calendar. Okay, so this edit your league's headers, you're the only one who's going to see that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's just to give you access to this, which allows you to change those headers. So only admins will see that.
Okay.
Now there are currently no upcoming events posted. That's because you actually don't have events content posted on your site. So if you don't want the default events page, if you just want your Google Calendar page,
yeah,
then what you'll want to do is just turn off this calendar link and move this one up, which we can go ahead and do right now if you want to.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I'll show you how to do that, as I think Ruth and Andrea might appreciate seeing how to edit the menu as well. So let me go back here again and just re-show you that. So there are always many ways to do everything. I will show you 2 ways to get to your menu to work on that. But I would strongly urge you to look at the documentation and do a search for menu and read all of the options, because there's some pretty fancy things that you can do with your menu. So if you mouse over your menu, you get this little gear, and if you click on it, you can click list links, and that will get you into your menu. There's also in your Administer League site box here, the first link there is Manage Menu. Both of those bring you to the same place, and this is a list of the links in your main menu. And there's these little grabby handles, and you can drag these items around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the Google Calendar link up 1 level. And then, do you see how at the top here it says enabled, this column with these checkboxes?
Right.
I'm going to disenable the calendar link here by unchecking that.
Good.
And now I'll go ahead and go down to the bottom, and I'm going to save configuration. And we'll come back in a minute here. Well, let's go look at your site and see how that's changed, and then we'll go back and we'll fix the Google Calendar, because that's probably not what you want it to say. But now you can see that Google Calendar is right here at the top. There's the Google Calendar. If we want to, go ahead. What were you about to say?
No, I was going to say that's excellent. That's what we're.
Okay, so we want it to just say calendar, right? We don't want it to say Google Calendar. So now we can go ahead and edit that item and then remove the word Google and save.
It's never
And then if we go back to your page here, there you go. Now it just says calendar.
Okay, it says Google Calendar on top though.
Yes, and that you would have to edit the page itself as opposed to the menu link.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think, yeah. Although, can people take this and add it to their calendar, to a Google Calendar? So, I mean, like if they an event
Yeah,
and they click on it.
depends on how you have it set up. So yeah, it depends on how you have it set up. If that's specific to Google,
Ah, I see.
right?
Mhm.
So you're not actually using MyLO calendar functionality right now. You're doing your own thing.
Right.
So all
Okay.
of our calendar stuff, it's not part of your site.
Oh, this is excellent. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. And Ruth, any other questions from your side?
I have so many questions. One quick question is because when I was reading the original documentation when we were first thinking about making the change to MyLO, one of the things I remember seeing was that there would be a way of abbreviating the URL for our website, because when we opened up LEW, our board was very concerned that we not be mixed up. There are 2 Monroe Townships in the state of New Jersey. And so our URL is League of Women Voters Monroe Township NJ.org. It's very long. Is there a way of truncating it and getting a shortcut and keeping the same server?
You're asking a very big and loaded question.
All right, then
So you
that's
can have, yeah, you can have whatever URL you want. We call that a vanity URL.
right.
And then you will point that URL to your site on My League Online. Your URL on My League Online will be it'll be my.lwv.org/New Jersey/Monroe Township. Or if you wanted to add something to that, then it would have something else on there as well. So that is your real URL, but you can have your vanity URL point to MyLO so that the public sees something else.
Okay. It's not that important.
Okay, and we can modify what that URL is to pretty much anything depending on what you want. The only part that we do need to keep is the New Jersey before your specific name.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll think about it. We're a long way from that.
All right. Well, when you get there, that's something that Amris will help you through as well. A lot of leagues have very specific questions related to that, so she can help you through that also.
So we had a question about Amaris's time, and we didn't want to, So what is the policy about calling Amaris some changes like this Google Calendar thing, or the members page and that sort of thing?
Oh, so I should let Amaris answer that, but I'll start out by trying to take a stab. Something like your Google Calendar question, that would have been a great question to ask the community on the Google group, because everybody, there are a number of users who might have had answers to that question or workarounds to offer you, and then both Amaris and I do go into the Google group on a regular basis. So if it's something like if your question is something like, I'm really trying to do this and I'm struggling and I don't know what I'm doing, anybody got any suggestions? The Google group is the absolute perfect place to ask that. If your question or your issue appears to be a bug of some kind, something that might be wrong with MyLO, then at that point the best course of action is to email mylo@lwvc.org, and doing that will create a ticket that will then notify all of us, and will there's a chain upon which we act on those. Amaris is usually the first face. I'm in there. I look at the MyLO tickets every Monday. So it does, the top level tech support does look at it every Monday, and there's regular review of that. But Amaris is always in there, and she's sending things my way if it needs to come my way. So so you do have those two resources, and we try to be as quick as possible on anything that's really critical.
Okay.
And if you feel like something is really critical and you're not getting an answer, then don't hesitate to bug us, because sometimes we do get a little swamped. So don't hesitate to just be like, hey, this is really urgent for me. Please don't lose it. Then that's, don't worry about that. Maurice, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I think that the Google Group suggestion is great, because not only could you get some helpful tips on how to do something in MyLO, but you might get some good suggestions as far as what other leagues are doing for their calendar, or other things like that. When it comes to reaching out, I mean, I'm here 9 to 5, available via email or phone call. If you guys are looking to maybe learn a new skill or have a refresher set of instructions on a certain task, then that is totally great, because then I'm just reteaching you at that point. When it comes to conducting an actual edit to your site, or taking care of a usual webmaster task, that is where I would ask you guys to either approach it differently. We could approach it as a learning experience rather than a task to be done, if that makes sense.
Oh, I see. So if we had a group, if we have a ad hoc website committee,
Mm-hmm.
and if we have a question for you, we get the committee together, and then you can show us how to do it so everybody can learn. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's something that we could actually formally set up to do that often. As far as showing an answer to the whole team, that would probably prove to be quite difficult to do that just on the fly. But if your team would benefit from a webinar like this, where it would just be almost a one-on-one session with your team and our team, we could set that up for you guys if that's what you are interested in.
Okay, because we're having a really hard time finding somebody to be a webmaster. Nobody wants to take that on at all.
I understand that.
Oh, no, that's so difficult or something. Nobody likes Drupal for some reason. That's what we're hearing.
May I ask a quick question? I want to add someone on, Andrea, who's sitting with me. I want to add her on to be able to edit. Is that a difficult task, or can she just log in and put her own information in? Or do I have to add her?
Are you asking?
No,
I
I'm
believe,
asking Rain.
Yeah,
yeah,
so you'll
sure.
want to you'll want to go ahead and add her. You
Okay.
can ask her to log herself in to create her own account, and then you can go ahead and add her after that. But she does need to be approved by an admin. She can't just
Right, I
say,
understand.
yeah.
Mhm.
So let me show you where that is. Or we can go ahead and add her right now, actually, as a way to show you how to do that.
Okay.
And
Santa Barbara site.
Yeah,
Right?
let's get to Monroe.
yep, I'm moving over to be Ruth right now.
Okay.
You don't want Andrea to be editing the Santa Barbara site?
I didn't
All
know
right.
Monroe Township.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So just to show you how to do this, so under Administer League site, one of your options here is Manage Members. I'll click on that. And then here, so we have Amaris, obviously, who created it, and then we have Ruth.
Right.
And now I'll go ahead and add a new member.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I want it to be a little easier than it is. It's extremely easy if she's already in the system. So if you're already in the system, then I'll type in your name and hopefully get a recommendation of you. What is your last name?
Pellezzi, Pellezzi.
Oh, hold off on that. So you're not already in the system.
No.
So what I do first is I need to create you. There's this section here, cannot find the user. So we can't find you, so I'm going to create you. And then after I create you, then I can add you.
Okay.
So it's go ahead and spell your full name for me.
First name is Andrea, Andrea, and last name is Pellezzi.
Okay. So that's your username, is your full name with no spaces, all lowercase. And then your email address.
My personal email address is Pellezzi@me.com.
All right.
I never know which one to use if you're
Okay, so your password is going to be change@me exclamation point. It's actually $change at, oh, is that what I did? Yeah, $change@me exclamation point. And Amris, would you mind sending that over to them in the chat so that they can get that? So that's your initial password. Please change it.
What is the password?
Wait, she's going to put it in chat, but I don't see it.
I'm typing that out now. And you said $sign at the start of that, right, Rain?
Yes, $change@me exclamation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create your account. So your email address is your personal email. Your username is your full name, all lowercase, all one word. And your password is the one that Amris just sent you in the chat. So now that you exist, now I'll reload this, and now I can start typing in your name. And there you are.
Right.
Okay.
Now, if you had registered yourself on MyLO, then Ruth would have been able to just search for you
Okay.
and then add you. Now, there's another step to this, though. All I've done is add you as a member. So you are now a confirmed member of this league. You are not an administrator. See the roles column here?
Yeah.
So it shows you, but it says that you're not an administrator. And there's documentation on this as well. There's a lot of documentation on this. So I'm going to click edit on you, and then under roles, I'll check off administrator member, update your membership, and now you are an administrator member of this league, and you can do what you want.
Excellent. Thank
and
you.
with that, it's probably time for us to wrap up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. I just joined by I don't know, by mistake or something.
Good. I'm glad.
It worked out.
It was great having you guys on, and I hope a lot of your questions were answered, and I'm sure you'll have more, and definitely don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll see each other online. If you have any questions, remember always you can email us at mylo@lwbc.org. Thank you very much for attending, ladies.
Bye.
Nice. Yeah. And Rain.
Bye.
I want to show you something.
Yeah.
And they close it yet?